He made the entire world laugh while dying quietly inside. Torn shoes, a tight coat, a crooked hat. Charlie Chaplin walked into history as the funniest man alive, but almost no one knew the truth behind his smile. Before the fame, before the applause, there was a hungry child who lost his father too soon and watched his mother break in silence. No warm bed, no safety, just cold streets and a heart learning to survive pain no child should carry. And yet from that darkness, he built laughter that healed millions. So ask yourself, what if your pain is waiting to become your greatest gift? There was a man who made the whole world laugh. He would walk onto the stage or into the flickering light of the silver screen, and before he said a single word, the world would already be smiling. He had a funny walk, a little waddle, feet turned outward, as if he owned the whole street, but wasn't quite sure how to stand on it. He wore torn shoes, 2 sizes too big, flapping with every step like tired old friends who had walked too many miles together. His coat was tight across the shoulders, buttoned up like it belonged to someone else, someone smaller, someone from another life. And on his head sat a crooked hat, tilted just enough to make you smile before you even knew why. People filled the theaters. They held their stomachs and laughed until they cried. Children pointed at the screen. Grown men, tired from long days of work, forgot their worries for a few precious minutes. Women wiped tears of joy from their cheeks, tears that came from laughing so hard their sides ached. For those few minutes, the world was lighter. For those few minutes, nobody remembered their bills, their broken shoes, their empty pockets. He gave them that gift, the gift of forgetting, even if just for a moment. But no one saw the tears he wiped away alone at night. When the lights went down and the applause faded into silence, when the crowd walked home still smiling, he would sit alone in a quiet room. The same face that made thousands laugh would grow still. The same eyes that sparkled with mischief on screen would grow heavy, tired, distant. He would look at his own torn shoes, not the costume ones, but his real ones, and remember a childhood that gave him little reason to smile at all. He had lost his father early, a father he barely knew, who left before he could teach him how to be strong, how to face the world, how to survive it. And so the boy learned alone. He watched his mother suffer in silence, a woman who sang beautifully once, who tried to hold their small family together with nothing but love and worn-out hands. The world was not kind to her. Illness came. Poverty came. Slowly, quietly, he watched her spirit break, piece by piece, like a song that loses its melody, note by note. He knew hunger before he ever knew fame. Real hunger, the kind that keeps a child awake at night, the kind that makes an empty stomach feel like a stone. He knew what it meant to walk the cold streets without a coat thick enough, to sleep in places that were not homes, to feel invisible in a world that rushed past without looking down. He knew what it meant to be a child who had to grow up far too soon, who had to learn that dreams were a luxury and survival was the only lesson that mattered. But yet even then, even in the coldest nights, even in the emptiest rooms, something inside him refused to break completely. Somewhere between the hunger and the heartbreak, a small flame stayed lit. Maybe it was his mother's voice, still singing somewhere in his memory. Maybe it was the simple stubbornness of a child who had nothing left to lose. Whatever it was, it planted a seed that would one day grow into laughter, into art, into a gift he would give to the entire world. But not yet. Not in this chapter of his story. For now, he was simply a boy in torn shoes, walking through hard streets, carrying a sadness far too heavy for his small shoulders, not knowing yet that one day, that very sadness would become the soul behind the world's greatest smile. One day someone asked him, How do you laugh with so much pain inside? It was a simple question, asked perhaps backstage, perhaps by a young reporter, perhaps by a friend who had seen the sadness behind his eyes when the makeup came off. The question hung in the air like smoke. How could a man who had buried so much sorrow still make an entire theater roar with laughter? How could hands that once trembled from hunger now move with such perfect, joyful comity? It seemed impossible. It seemed like a secret only he could hold. He simply said, laughter was the only language his sadness understood. He did not explain it with big words or clever philosophy. He said it plainly, the way a man speaks when he has lived the truth of it, not just thought about it. His sadness had no other way to speak. It could not write letters. It could not shout in anger. It could not fix the past or bring his father back or heal his mother's broken spirit. But it could dance. It could stumble. It could fall down 17 times and rise up 18. His sadness, when given no other voice, chose laughter because laughter, he realized, was simply sadness that had learned how to survive. He learned that a broken heart can still lift others up. This was the turning point, the quiet revelation that changed everything. He did not need to wait until his heart was whole again to give something good to the world. He did not need to wait for the pain to disappear before he could offer joy to others. A cracked cup can still pour water for a thirsty man. A broken heart, he discovered, could still love, could still give, could still make a tired factory worker forget his aching back for 2 hours in a dark theater. His wounds did not disqualify him from healing others, in fact. They were exactly what made him able to. So he turned his falls into dance. Every stumble, every trip over an unseen curb, every awkward, clumsy step became part of his art. Instead of hiding his failures, he choreographed them. Instead of being ashamed of his poverty, he wore it quite literally, with the tight coat and torn shoes he had once been embarrassed by. He turned his poverty into art, transforming the very things that once made him feel small into the very things that made the world love him. And his tears, oh, his tears, he turned them into smiles, teaching the world that the two were never as far apart as people believed. That was the day he stopped hiding his pain and started healing through it. He stopped pretending everything was fine. He stopped locking his sorrow away in some hidden room, ashamed, as if it was something dirty or weak. Instead, he opened the door and let it walk beside him onto the stage. He let his sorrow move his feet. He let it shape his stories. He let it live inside every character he played, the outsider, the wanderer, the little man against a big, uncaring world. And in doing so, something remarkable happened. The pain no longer controlled him from the shadows. It walked in the light beside him, transformed, purposeful, useful. He didn't erase his sadness. He gave it a purpose. This was his quiet wisdom, the lesson hidden inside every fall and every laugh. He never pretended the hunger hadn't happened. He never pretended his mother's suffering hadn't shaped him. He never denied the coldness of those early streets. But he refused to let that sadness be wasted. He refused to let it simply sit inside him, useless, rotting in silence. Instead, he shaped it. Like a sculptor shapes stone, not by erasing the cracks, but by working with them, letting them become part of a design. His sadness became his greatest teacher. His falls became his finest performances. And his broken heart became the very thing that taught millions of strangers how to smile again. So if you are smiling today while carrying a heavy heart, you are not weak, you are brave. Maybe you woke up this morning with a weight in your chest that no one else could see. Maybe you smiled at a stranger, laughed with a coworker, hugged someone you love, all while a quiet storm was raging somewhere deep inside you. If that is you, hear this clearly. There is nothing weak about that smile. It takes no strength at all to fall apart in front of the world. Anyone can do that. but to rise each morning, to face the day, to offer kindness when you yourself are aching. That takes a courage most people will never understand. That is not pretending. That is not hiding. That is bravery, wearing a gentle face. Every person you meet is fighting a battle you cannot see. The man who snapped at you in traffic might have just left a hospital room he did not want to leave. The woman who seemed distracted at the counter might be carrying grief so heavy it has followed her for years. The friend who always seemed so composed, so put together, might be crumbling quietly behind closed doors every single night. We walk past hundreds of these hidden battles every single day, never knowing, never seeing, because most people, like that man in the torn shoes, have learned to wear a smile over their wounds. So before you judge, before you grow impatient, remember, you do not know the weight another person carries. Be gentle, be kind, be human. These are such small words, and yet they may be the most powerful instructions ever given to us. Gentleness costs nothing, yet it can save someone on their darkest day. Kindness takes only a moment, yet its echo can last a lifetime. And to be human, truly human, means to feel deeply, to hurt honestly, and still choose compassion over cruelty, patience over judgment, warmth over indifference. In a world that often rewards toughness and mocks softness, choosing gentleness is its own quiet rebellion. It is choosing to remain tender in a world that has given you every reason to grow hard. Like that tramp in torn shoes, keep walking even when the road is hard. Remember him, the little man with the crooked hat and the oversized shoes, wandering down long, dusty roads with nowhere in particular to go, and yet always moving forward. He did not know what waited around the next corner. He rarely had a warm bed or a full stomach, but he kept walking. He kept his chin slightly raised, his cane twirling with a strange, hopeful rhythm, as if to say, the road may be hard, but I am still here, still moving, still trying. That is the picture we must carry with us. Not a man who never fell, but a man who always got back up and kept walking anyway. Because behind every laugh, there may be a story of quiet suffering. Remember this the next time someone makes you smile. Remember it when you see someone laughing loudly, joking freely, lighting up a room. You may be witnessing not the absence of pain, but the beautiful, quiet triumph over it. Their laughter may be their bravest act of the day. And behind every struggle, there is still a light waiting to be shared. No matter how heavy your heart feels right now, no matter how many torn places life has left in you, there is still light inside you, light that has not gone out. Light that is simply waiting for its moment. Your pain does not disqualify you from giving joy to others. It may be exactly what prepares you to. So, keep walking. Keep smiling, even softly. Keep being gentle in a world that needs it desperately. Because somewhere out there, someone is watching you rise. And your quiet courage, like his, just might teach them how to rise too.